All right, everyone, good morning. We're here in the Local 4 newsroom. I'm about to head out and dig into more about the death of this beautiful little guy right here. This is Aaron Miner. Little Aaron turned 3 on Mother's Day. That was his birthday. And this is a case that is so disturbing and so sad. We are going to look into it every which way because the family of Aaron, they're not just hurting, but they really want some answers. So here on Facebook, we're going to discuss this. Here's the situation. Okay, Wednesday afternoon, I got a tip from a police source that someone had found a baby dead in an apartment up off the lodge behind Wayne State, and there was no parent around. So it was a really alarming scene. How could a child be dead in an apartment with no neighbors hearing a thing and no parent around? Well, comes to find out. Okay, here's Aaron, and let me show you a picture of his mom. Beautiful mom here. This is Deanna Miner. So Deanna and Aaron live together. There's Aaron there in his car seat. There they are there. And, experiencing happy times. Well, they live there, but Deanna Miner, nowhere to be found, and the body of the boy is in the apartment. So automatically your mind starts rushing, and his grandmother and his aunt said the same thing. Was he in that apartment all by himself, and could he not fend for himself? Did he die all alone in that apartment? That part is being investigated heavily by Detroit police investigators, homicide investigators. They're on the case, big time. And look, it doesn't look that way, that he doesn't look like he was left in there. Looks like that he was tucked by someone into his own bed, and that perhaps, still not confirmed yet, but perhaps that he was already deceased when a maintenance worker on Wednesday afternoon smelled something terrible, let himself in the apartment, and found little Aaron all tucked in his bed. So where's mom? Her sister was looking for her. Her mother was looking for her. Couldn't find her anywhere. Detroit police homicide detectives were looking for Deanna as well. It took them hours, late on Wednesday night. They found Deanna being treated for mental issues at Henry Ford Hospital down in Wyandotte. How in the world she got from Detroit's west side to Wyandotte? Here's the situation there. This dates all the way back to May the 16th. On May 16th, there's a call to 911 to that apartment complex. Not specifically that apartment, but EMS, Detroit EMS sources tell me an ambulance was called and Deanna's mom was outside. Now, some people say that she was having trouble breathing and she was having a lot of problems. The report reads that she was complaining of abdominal pain. They took her to the hospital, and she never mentioned that there was a child in the apartment. So medics do not go in to someone's private residence like that unless the mom said, hey, my baby's in there. Can we go get him, or there's something wrong with my child, or I'm sick and my child's sick. Can you help? That never happened. So the apartment was locked up. That was it. She goes off to the hospital. Deanna Miner then ends up in a hospital being treated for psychiatric issues in Ann Arbor. She is treated and well enough to be released. Still, Aaron's body sits for days, lies for days, back in the apartment. Somehow, Deanna Miner is back in the hospital down in Wyandotte. So I just got off the phone with Deanna's mom. She finally found where her daughter was. She went down to the hospital yesterday, saw her walking in the hallway, and the daughter did not want to speak to her. She said she is not ready to see family members yet, so she's still under the treatment of doctors there. Police homicide detectives also can't speak to her until she is medically cleared by a doctor there at that hospital or another hospital if she's moved, to speak to homicide detectives to tell them what happened to Aaron. That's the biggest thing here. Now let's go even a bigger picture here. Let's go all the way back to Mother's Day. We can even go all the way back to March. Here's the deal. Deanna was working with social service agency COTS, Coalition for Housing Shelter. COTS is over on Woodward. They're very well known. Coalition on Temporary Shelter. Cheryl Johnson is the CEO. Sharon Johnson is the COO. So she gets plugged into the social service agency COTS because she's having financial difficulties. She may be having mental difficulties as well. She's rather estranged from her family. Some people have commented here on Facebook or on my Twitter page, hey, where was the family in all this? I can assure you that they were checking on her all the time, but it was difficult because Deanna, the mom of Aaron, was estranged from them. She didn't want to see them, but she was indicating that she was having a rather rough time. So out of the blue, back in March, Deanna's mom receives a text from a social worker or a therapist that is working with Deanna. They don't know this woman. They don't know her name. They just have her phone number. She would call if Deanna ever missed an appointment, a job interview, something of that nature. So they were in connection with Deanna to make sure she was getting her life back on track where she wanted it. Well, back in March, the therapist or social worker, that's still unclear, sends a text to Deanna's mom. And I read the text. It says, "I'm concerned for that Deanna may harm herself." The question is, and this is the question for COTS, if they hired that therapist or if that therapist works or social worker works for COTS, the big question here is what happened after that text was sent? Was there follow-up by the social service agency or by that therapist? Now, I've got the therapist number. I called her yesterday. Here we have a boy who's dead, and the therapist, not or social service agency worker, picks up. I say, "Hey, we've got to talk about this," and she kind of just laughs and says, "No, I can't talk about this." Well, it's not a laughing matter. It's a very serious matter, and we're looking into it, and we're going to find out what the answers are here. So, just got off the phone with Deanna's mom. She went down to see Deanna. Deanna doesn't want to see her. Here's Aaron. He's still over at the morgue. Now, Deanna's mom received a phone call either late last night or early this morning from Johnson Funeral Home here in Detroit over on the east side. Johnson Funeral Home said, "We want to work with you. We'll come over and have some release papers. If you want to release the body of little Aaron to us, then we will have funeral services for him, give him the proper, respectful burial that he so deserves, given the fact that he was alone in his bed for days in that apartment over on the west side." Well, the mom is telling me that funeral home is owned by husband and wife, and the wife runs COTS, the social service agency. So we're waiting for Cheryl COTS to give us a call back. She's the CEO of COTS, to see what answers she will provide us about what happened here. Did someone drop the ball? Was part of the ball dropped? Who's responsible for this? It almost reminds you of the case of Miss Blair, who had her kids in a freezer over on the east side, and no neighbors notice anything. No neighbors notice that the kids are gone. It's kind of like that in a way, but only because, where we're social services then, how could you not know these kids were gone for months and months and months and years? Here, if you send a text saying, "I'm worried about this mom's mental health, that she may hurt someone or hurt herself, or is she worried that she'll hurt Aaron?" What did they do? All right, so we're going to go find that out and stick with us here on Local 4 on the Facebook page. We'll update it. I'll update it on my Twitter as well, at Sean Lay Live, and we'll be live on this throughout the day when you tune into Local 4 starting at 4, 5, and 6. See you then.